From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Facing two primary challengers, Congressman Thanedar has filed 7 articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump. The Michigan Democrat says Trump poses a clear and present danger to the U.S. Constitution and democracy. Thanedar's charges include obstruction of justice, abuse of executive power, violation of the First Amendment, and bribery. He also accuses Trump of setting up an illegal government office and illegally empowering Elon Musk. Thanedar says Congress must act now to stop what he called Trump's authoritarian power grab. The move comes as Thanedar faces tough competition in Michigan's 13th district, with 2 Democratic challengers entering the race. Progressives backing Thanedar's rivals say Democrats need bold new leadership, not career politicians. Trump, who was already impeached twice in his first term, survived Senate trials both times. Observers say now that Republicans control Congress, making a new impeachment push will be an uphill battle. A new poll shows that most U.S. voters support impeaching President Donald Trump for a historic third time. According to Data for Progress, 52% of likely voters want Congress to act. This includes 84% of Democrats, 55% of independents, and even 20% of Republicans. Nearly half of voters say Democrats have a duty to remove Trump for violating constitutional rights and laws. A New York Times poll found that 66% called Trump's second term chaotic and 59% say it's scary. Another poll shows 55% disapprove of Trump's performance and believe he is trying to grab too much power. More than 370,000 people have signed a petition calling for Trump's removal. Despite Republican control of Congress, public pressure for action is mounting. Posters of arrested undocumented immigrants were displayed outside the White House on Monday. Dozens of them showed men accused of crimes like murder, rape, and child abuse. Each poster read "arrested" at the top and "illegal alien" below the photo. The offenses listed included child molestation, first-degree murder, sexual abuse of a child, homicide, and kidnapping. The posters reportedly highlight the 100 worst illegal immigrant criminals arrested during the first 100 days of President Donald Trump's days in office. The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, is demanding the expulsion of Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir from the U.S. CAIR says Ben-Gvir, who is visiting Washington, directed his security team to harass a Palestinian-American woman wearing a keffiyeh at Capitol Hill during Muslim Advocacy Day this week. The woman, Sabrine Odeh, said she was standing peacefully when Ben-Gvir's team tried to intimidate her. CAIR condemned the harassment as a racist act targeting a symbol of Palestinian culture. It has also called Ben-Gvir a racist, war criminal, and coward, demanding that Congress shun him and the U.S. expel him. Ben-Gvir, a right-wing Israeli extremist and settler from the West Bank, has called for the expulsion of all Palestinians from Gaza. He has also claimed that top Republicans in the U.S. support his call to bomb food and aid depots in Gaza, which a State Department spokesperson denied earlier this week. Ben-Gvir's visit has sparked protests in the U.S., including at a speaking event in New York. The Trump administration has launched investigations into Harvard University and its law review over alleged race-based discrimination. Federal civil rights offices say Harvard's editorial selection may breach Title VI of the Civil Rights Act by prioritizing race over merit. The investigations come after reports that race influenced journal membership and article selection. Acting Civil Rights Chief Craig Traynor warned that federal fund recipients cannot discriminate based on race, color, or national origin. Harvard recently sued the administration after losing more than $2 billion in federal funding. The university became the first major institution to challenge Trump's directives issued after campus protests over Israel's genocide in Gaza last year. The administration is also cracking down on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at universities, calling them illegal and immoral discrimination. A new Senate report says Elon Musk's companies face a staggering $2.37 billion in federal fines, raising serious conflict of interest concerns. The report from the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations accuses Musk of profiting while endangering the public. It details how Musk's businesses, including Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, racked up at least 65 legal actions from 11 federal agencies. Major fines include $1.19 billion for Tesla over alleged false claims about self-driving features, $1.59 million for Neuralink's animal welfare violations, and more than $633,000 for SpaceX's launch failures. The report warns that Musk's deep ties to federal contracts, which are worth more than $38 billion, create huge conflict risks as he influences government policies. It also claims Musk could gain even more financially by avoiding lawsuits, legal costs, and regulatory actions. Musk's firms currently hold federal contracts worth more than $10 billion. Letters demanding more information have been sent to Musk's companies about investigations and conflict of interest safeguards. Analysts say the report ignites fresh debate over billionaires and government influence in Washington. U.S. strike on Yemen detention center kills dozens of Ethiopian migrants. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. A U.S. airstrike killed at least 68 people and wounded 47 after allegedly hitting a migrant detention center in Yemen's Saada province. Houthi officials claim the victims were mostly migrants from Ethiopia trying to cross into Saudi Arabia for work. Graphic footage aired by Houthi media showed bodies and wounded migrants amid debris and chaos. Yemen's civil defense said 115 migrants were being held at the site at the time. The U.S. military has not yet commented on the attack. African migrants have long been caught in Yemen's brutal conflict, facing abuse and death in Yemen and across the Saudi border. The UN has previously raised concerns about Saudi forces allegedly killing hundreds of migrants, a claim Saudi Arabia's government denies. A coalition of civil rights leaders has launched a week-long campaign to defend Black history. They are rallying around the National Museum of African American History and Culture, warning against what they say are attempts by the Trump administration to erase Black voices. The hashtag Hands Off Our History, Free to Learn campaign will feature a major march on Saturday from Freedom Plaza to the museum in Washington. Local groups are being urged to support Black museums and libraries nationwide. Civil rights leaders signed a pledge affirming Black history is American history and essential for democracy. The initiative comes amid President Donald Trump's claim that the efforts to teach about systemic racism in the U.S. divides the nation. He has signed executive orders to cut diversity programs and limit the teaching of histories portraying America as oppressive. The orders also target the Smithsonian's African American Museum, which leaders call the crown jewel of U.S. museums. The institution's director, Kevin Young, resigned in early April amid growing public backlash. Since opening in 2016, the museum has attracted millions, including 1.6 million visitors last year. Fresh concerns are rising over updated COVID-19 vaccines this fall. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has asked Novavax to run a new clinical trial after granting full approval for its COVID-19 shot. It is the only traditional protein-based vaccine in the U.S. Novavax says it believes its vaccine is still approvable, but a weekend post by FDA Commissioner Marty Makary hinted new trials could delay yearly updates for all COVID-19 shots. Makary called the updated Novavax shot a new product, implying that new studies are needed. Experts warned this could cause major disruption. Dr. Jesse Goodman, a former FDA vaccine chief, said if every strain change requires a full trial, vaccines will always lag behind the virus. The shakeup follows the removal of the FDA's vaccine chief after disputes with Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr., who pledged not to change the vaccine schedule and has canceled advisory meetings and revived debunked claims that vaccines cause autism. Novavax's shot, which has proven effective in a 30,000-person trial, remains under emergency use in the U.S. Experts warn that imposing political requirements could lead to lawsuits from drug makers and patients, especially those depending on Novavax for medical reasons. Canada's Liberals are returning to power under their new leader, Mark Carney, after Monday's federal election. Carney, a former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor, campaigned as the man to steer Canada through uncertain times, especially with President Donald Trump back in the White House. The Liberal Party has secured a minority government with 168 seats, while the Conservative Party obtained 144 seats. A party needs 172 for a majority. Notably, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre lost his seat in Carleton to Liberal candidate Bruce Fanjoy. Carney's economic credentials reassured voters worried about Trump's tariff threats and aggressive comments about annexing Canada. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre had been leading polls for months, but this changed after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who was very unpopular, resigned. Carney took over in a Liberal leadership race, re-energizing the party. By April 27th, the Liberals were 4 points ahead in national polling. In Monday's vote, Canadians clearly backed Carney's promise of steady leadership over Poilievre's call for change. International markets responded positively overnight, with the Canadian dollar gaining slightly against the U.S. dollar. In related news, on Canada's Election Day on Monday, President Donald Trump stirred controversy by urging Canadians to vote for him. He again floated the idea of making Canada the 51st U.S. state. In a social media post, Trump promised Canadians massive economic benefits, zero tariffs, and a stronger military if they agreed to join the U.S. The post triggered swift backlash. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre told Trump to stay out of our election, while Prime Minister Mark Carney declared, "This is Canada, we decide what happens here." Trump claimed Canadians could see their industries quadruple without taxes if they joined the U.S. He also repeated his long-running suggestion that annexing Canada would create a beautiful landmass and erase an artificial line. Both Carney and Poilievre, bitter rivals in Monday's vote, united in condemning Trump's interference. Israel killed at least 51 more Palestinians in airstrikes across Gaza in the last 24 hours. Tuesday strikes killed 14 people, including 3 in Gaza City, 2 in Beit Hanun, 3 in Khan Yunis, and 6 in the Al-Mawasi area. Israel's army claimed it killed 2 senior Hamas fighters, Saeed Abu Hasnan and Mustafa al-Mutawwak. Meanwhile, Amnesty International has accused Israel of committing a live-streamed genocide by displacing civilians and causing a humanitarian disaster. It also said Israel is acting with specific intent to destroy Palestinians, calling it a genocide. The government media office noted that Israel is using starvation and thirst as weapons of war, with more than 65,000 children hospitalized for malnutrition. The closure of border crossings has worsened health conditions, especially for children and infants. Israel faces genocide charges at the International Court of Justice. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. 15 Muslim candidates have been elected to the Canadian Parliament, up from 11 in the last House in Monday's federal election. They represent backgrounds from Lebanon, Pakistan, Iran, Somalia, Turkey, and beyond. Experts call it a milestone for Muslim civic engagement and political power. The Liberal Party secured the vast majority of Muslim representation, with 14 Muslim MPs elected. The Conservative Party elected 1 Muslim MP, Ziad Abdul Taif, from Edmonton, Manning, Alberta. No Muslim candidates were elected from other parties, including the New Democratic Party, or NDP, Bloc Québécois, or the Green Party. Muslim Canadians, especially in cities like Toronto, now make up more than 12% of the population. Analysts say the election campaign was shaped by global events. The humanitarian crisis in Palestine dominated debates in mosques, community halls, and online forums. Campaigns like MuslimsVote.ca and the Vote Palestine platform mobilized support for candidates backing justice and human rights. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.